All right. I think we are live. Assuming excellent connection means what I think it means, in which case, yeah, we're live. Otherwise, we're not live, and I'm just talking to Holly and the void.
Hi.
For whatever reason, it also thinks that I hit the start recording button. That's weird.
Yeah, don't record it.
I didn't want to. That's a lot of recording.
That's a lot of data.
Yeah, I don't have that much space. Well, I do actually. I just got another terabyte like 6 months ago, and I haven't filled it up yet. So
Really?
yes, I am pretty frugal with my
I was
or
about to say,
storage
you're
usage.
data stingy?
I'm data stingy. Well, cause I have like the only thing the biggest things that take up data on this computer are video footage from my recording or whatever it is that I archive on YouTube,
Hmm.
and games from Steam, which I can just uninstall and reinstall at a whim. Those are the two main points of data sync. That's not the correct
Hmm.
terminology, but you get what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
Whereas for other people, I'm pretty sure it's like pictures or
Porn.
porn. Is that really?
I don't know.
That didn't sound suspicious at all. Okay, we'll go with that, Polly. I won't ask you any further questions.
Is it really?
You seem to be an expert on the subject. Dude, go on. I'm sorry. Let me just chill the show with Polly and myself.
That's me.
That's you. All right, cool. Anyway, Polly, how was your week? Oh, that bad, huh?
I just, sorry, I just like turned on the stream because I wanted to hear how we sounded. I'm fucking peeking out on my mic
Are you
in a big way.
really?
Yeah, I don't know if by turning up, and you're pretty loud too. I don't know if it was just what I was listening to or what. Anyway, it sounds really loud and really distorted.
Okay, I can turn it down. It doesn't sound bad on my end, and apparently you don't have a problem with my audio on your end either, so I'll just
Yeah,
turn
but I'm
it
just listening
down.
to you on Discord, right? So
Yeah, you're just listening to me on Discord. I'm listening to you through Discord, but the audience is listening to you through what I'm hearing through Discord. So, you know what it might be? It might be that like 125% volume adjuster that you have on your thingamawitzer.
what are
That
you
might be
talking
it.
about?
It might be your
Why?
fault.
Why would that have?
I don't
Why
know.
would my volume adjustment affect the stream when you're the one streaming it?
Well, it would affect how you hear the stream on your device. Chat,
Uh,
does the audio sound wonky, or is it just all in Polly's head?
don't
They'll
give me
be
that,
fixed.
Ian. He's got poly boomer tech issues. I'm not the one streaming it this time. Weebo is. I'm just saying. I turned on the stream on YouTube, and we sounded pretty distorted. That's all I'm saying. Fuck.
Lord Dukester says it sounds okay on his end. No
All right.
echo. So
Then we'll
we'll
just
just
let it
chalk it
go.
up to boomerisms on Polly's part.
Yeah. Let's fine. But we'll go with the boomers
Okay,
angle.
so that's funny that they bring that up because usually it is me that is having all of the technical issues, and the ironic bit about that is that computers are my thing. Like, I do that professionally for a living.
You're an audio engineer?
No, just computer shenanigans.
Well, I don't really think that. Yeah.
And then, like, my
I
side
don't need
gig,
to
my
own
side
that.
hustle is production. And I can't even get that right. Because usually on streams, I'm the one with the technical issues. I'm the one having boomerisms. Quite frequently, in fact. It's become a meme.
I'll tell you what.
Hmm.
I'll turn down my own mic gain.
Oh, well,
According to Ian, I'm distorting. So.
now I can hear you. Well, I can hear you, but I can't hear you as well. Maybe I'm going deaf. Maybe that's the issue.
This is why people have audio people.
You're right. We need a people for audio.
Uh huh.
Uh-huh. We could pay them in peanuts, probably.
You know, I'm certain that the 16 people listening tuned in to hear us talk about like audio levels.
It's actually 15. Yes.
You're right. Somebody left. I just saw 16 and I looked back up. Oh, yes, he's right. It is.
Rough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, Polly, audio issues aside, how was your week?
The whole thing?
Generally speaking, yeah, how was your week? Were there parts to it? Like, is there a part 1 versus a part 2? Is there, a rising action and a climactic moment and then falling action and...
No, it was not cinematic at all.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. You not walk around with headphones in your ear, blasting the most epic of movie soundtracks in your ear holes every day, all the time?
I have done that. Where I had a, because I love soundtracks, right? So yeah, I have my own playlist, and there's like all of a sudden chase music, or as they call it, the flight music.
Right.
Someone's either in flight towards or away from something. And all of a sudden, this like flight music started. It is really difficult to not want to start running. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, God, they're trying to get me, or that bastard's trying to get away. You know, you want to just run.
Get your tail
Oh,
out.
look, it's a cat.
Hi.
That's great.
Hang on, I have a laser pointer this time. Come on, come on, come on. Go get it. Go get it. Go away. Go find the laser. Bye. Go get it. Go get it. Oh no, the other cat's chasing it now. Fuck. This has backfired tremendously.
Or backfired would be you pointed the laser at your face accidentally and they leapt on you.
That has happened, believe it or not. Actually, I do try to get them to jump on each other using the laser pointer. It hasn't worked yet.
Really?
They're too smart for that, apparently. Like, even the dumb one right here. It's too smart for that.
Huh.
Someday, though, I'll get them to do the thing. Maybe if they were younger. Because they have no problem getting into it with each other. At all. Like, it almost gets annoying, especially when it's done in the middle of the night while we're trying to sleep. Because you could hear them going at it. Like, well, they don't hiss anymore. They used to. But they'll just be zooming around the apartment trying to chase each other. And they make a ruckus, is what I'm saying. So, that's not super convenient. But they don't do it when I want them to, you know? If I could control that aspect, I'd make bank. I'd retire. I would just film Cat Fight Club all day. That was it. That'd be it.
I don't know if that's ethical exactly.
Well, as long as they're both alive at the end and no worse for wear, it's fine. Because they're just playing.
Well, you could say that of bum fights too. You know, as long as they're both alive at the end, they're just playing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Huh.
Yeah. What do you take me for?
A sicko?
Really?
No.
I jest. No, I wouldn't capitalize on their fights exclusively just for money. Like, I wouldn't antagonize them just for money to film it, to put it on the internet. No. But I would, they are hilarious enough on a daily basis that I could see, like, streaming their going-ons for a small audience, and the audience being super interested in it. Yeah?
I did when people pushed me to do a Twitch streaming. What the fuck is going... Weebo.
What?
Oh, Weebo legs. Shit, I didn't open Streamlabs.
You should probably open Streamlabs. I also should open Streamlabs, just in case.
I'm trying to put things into my scheduler. You're a bad influence.
I'm a bad... How is you scheduling things make me a bad influence if it helps you keep track of your life?
Because I'm a free spirit and I shouldn't have to.
You're free balling?
Yeah, exactly. Living life by the edge of my balls. Okay, Server21, thank you for the $3 in the Weebo legs. Polly, speaking of music, guitar player Jeff Baxter finally put out an album with a killer opening track called Ladies from Hell. Starts with bagpipes of all things, moves on to... Okay, it said scintillating and the screen refreshed. Hold on, it's scintillating something. Scintillating guitars.
The tart?
Guitars.
Oh, okay. Scintillating. I'm not familiar with that word. Is that
You're not familiar with the word scintillating?
scintillating? No.
You wanted to write softcore erotica, and you're not familiar with the word scintillating?
Sparkling or shining brightly. Yeah, what does that have to do with what does that have to do with erotica?
I felt his scintillating caress in my nether regions, etc.
How can a caress be sparkling?
Because of the effervescent feeling of euphoria that it generates. I don't know.
I only wanted to do that. All right, I just want to clarify something. I only wanted to do that because I needed a good writing exercise and good feedback from people, and everyone reads smut, even if it's the shittiest smut in the world. I mean, have you heard of 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah, it's smut. Yeah, I get it.
Yep. It's like if I just write something platonic, no one gives a shit.
I'm sorry, I'm never... What's this novel about? Oh, boy meets girl. Oh yeah, what happens? They help each other out and lend each other support when needed. Instead,
they offer moral support in difficult situations. Like even The Fault in Our Stars had a sex scene in it, and it was about two high schoolers who were dying of cancer.
Really?
I'm not kidding. That movie had a sex scene in it. I am not wrong in this. This is 100% the case. Even if it's just implied sex, that implication, that inclusion, I feel is necessary for people to simply get invested in something in a lot of cases. Or to relate on some level. I don't know. Because it humanizes. Like, okay. Take like an action movie.
Uh-huh.
Like any action movie. Gosh.
John Wick.
John Wick. His wife's dead. Never mind, this is not a good example. I don't know what I'm talking about. Ignore me!
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
The only reason he's trying to save his wife so he can fuck her again. Is that your theory?
Yes. But also, if I'm not mistaken, there is a scene in that movie where two people are doing the diddly on an office desk.
True. Yeah, it is. Yep,
while
that's right.
Hans Gruber is rushing the building with all of his minions.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's his minions that find them fucking on a desk at a Christmas party. Yeah.
Exactly. See, I know what I'm talking about.
And the bearded cokehead weirdo is trying to bang McClane's wife.
Yes, indeed he is. And then that doesn't work out for him because he's a...
No, he does get shot in the face, but not for that reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that happens.
We don't know that he got shot in the face, but Gruber was pointing right at his face. So
so we can infer that he was most likely shot in the face.
Yes. Yeah. I'd like to think he was. It's Mr. Takagi that gets shot in the face, or at least in the head, gets the back of his head blown out, and Takagi was a cool guy.
Right, he deserved so much better than what he got in that movie. Like, of all of the people that I wish... Like, you wish that character had survived, but the fact that he didn't almost raises the stakes a little bit, because then, like, we have stakes. Like, we have actual stakes. Like, we have bad guys willing to kill.
I thoroughly agree. It's the fact that Takagi, like, the actor is a very likable guy.
Right.
And the lines that he has written for him make him very likable.
Oh, yeah.
And that Gruber kills him so early on, man, does that really establish Gruber as a fucking cold-hearted bastard? You know what I mean?
Right, because otherwise you're just facing off against some magnificent bastard in the form of Hans Gruber, because he is very charming
Fuck yeah,
as a
that guy's
villain.
got swagger for three men. Like
Right?
he's
And those are my favorite villains, the ones that you can't help but to love, even in the face of, like, the most dastardly of actions. Mm, peak writing.
yeah. I,
And
one of my favorite lines is when Takagi says to him, "You want money? What kind of terrorists are you? Whoever said we were terrorists?"
well, the
'Cause, like, yeah,
terrifying
actually,
feeling.
yeah, it's like nobody did actually. That's why he found it funny. You know, it just great,
Right.
just great.
You know, that actually brings up something that I tweeted earlier today. The act of playing like a villain is so much more fun than playing a hero or hero character. Like, being bad in a pretend fashion is quite gratifying. And I could say this as someone who's been playing a dastardly pirate with no morals for like 5 years or so in the form of the Nameless Thief. I enjoy playing the villain. Because it's not
Well,
me. I'm not playing me. I am playing a character that I've created, and this character is bad. So they have license to do bad things, say bad things that I otherwise wouldn't have license to, or give myself license to, because I'm just not that person.
do you do you think that maybe okay, so you have license to do what you want to do, and it's fun to play the villain. Are not those things equally true of a vigilante, an actual full-on vigilante?
Um,
Because they're being a badass and killing or beating up or somehow frustrating the plans of all the right
Thank
people.
you for your patronage.
I will get there in a sec. Thank you, Serpent21, for the $3. Weebo, a wise man once said that in simpler times we had better athletes, better liquor, better women, better leaders, better entertainers. Would you agree that the 21st century has been a complete waste of time? I wouldn't say a complete waste of time. Certainly things seem more nostalgic looking back at them, but I think that is a crutch that everyone relies upon. Things are certainly more convenient now, but are they better? I don't necessarily think so. Convenient, yes. Better? Probably not, actually. You probably still have similar issues. You look back on things with more fondness than you feel in this moment because you're experiencing the thing in this moment. It's fresh in your mind. So you have all of the more immediate emotions, whereas the things that you're remembering, they're either going to be really bad or they're going to be really good, depending on what the memory is. So, yeah, no, I don't think things are better. You're just looking back with nostalgic goggles. Anyway, Holly, you asked me about vigilantism and whether or not that's in any way a similar feeling to me donning this villainous alter
Being
ego.
a piratress, a piratress, a piratress.
Pirate, I guess. I think pirate is a gender neutral term, actually.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
you're a lady pirate.
I'm a lady pirate. Are we talking vigilante in like the literal sense or in the comic book sense?
Okay, good question. Well, see, you know what? It's funny when you said that. When I said vigilante, as in like full-on vigilante, Spider-Man is a vigilante technically
Yeah.
within the comic book universe, but he's a very different kind of vigilante than, say, the Punisher or Batman. But yeah, there you go. So you got Spider-Man, Batman, the Punisher, where Spider-Man punches people, and there you go. Webs them up and whatnot. And like, there might be a broken bone or two or whatever the fuck, right? But he's leaving him webbed up for the police. Then you got Batman, who's kicking the shit out of people and beating them fucking ruthlessly, and occasionally somebody fucking dies. But he generally tries not to fucking kill people, even though there's real bodies behind the guy. And he's a pretty weirdo, hangs out in a cave by himself, brooding. Then you got the
Right.
Punisher, who's just a fucking murderer. If you know what I mean. He's just murdering all the right people.
He's murdering the right people.
If you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
if we look at that as our temporary spectrum, inaccurate as it
Right.
might be. So, like, and then you talk about, like, real world vigilante. I don't know who fits into that.
Well, I guess when you say vigilante, what were you thinking of
Comic books.
vigilante? Comic books. Okay.
Well, I am a comic book guy, so that's where my mind went right away.
Right. Well, I wasn't sure, so I asked to clarify. We can tackle
Fair
each
enough.
one.
No, that's why I thought it was a good question, because I thought, like, who would count as a real world vigilante? Anyone who takes the law into their
Thank
own
you for your
hands
Right.
would
patronage.
technically count in there. So,
Mhm. So I
who seeks
definitely
vengeance by, yeah, who seeks vengeance or wrath by taking the law into their own hands. Yeah.
right. So we'll tackle the comic book aspect first, and I guess
Let,
that could be expanded upon to encompass all like fictional vigilante-esque characters. Um,
yeah.
now are
I can think
we?
of an example of a real world vigilante if you want one. A guy that absolutely fits the definition and is tough to disagree with, even though you probably should. The video I doubt is up on YouTube. You probably have to go to Daily Motion to find it because YouTube's become all censorious and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there was a guy who his son was molested and raped by an older man.
I know who you're talking about. I've seen the video.
The guy's on the phone.
Yep, the guy on the
Y-
phone with the red
Yeah,
eye.
yeah. So there's for those in chat, there's a guy, and he makes up his mind. I'm going to get this guy because no matter how much time they put him in prison for, it's never going to make up for what he did to my son.
Right.
And he sort of has a point. So he's sitting there on this was in the 80s, so he's on a public payphone, right? With sunglasses on and just pretending to be on the phone. And as they're escorting the prisoner by him to the courtroom, which he had been watching, he just very nonchalantly turns and bang, shoots the guy right in the head with a revolver. I mean, that is a planned 1, 2, 3. Here's how I'm going to get the guy, and they're carrying him out on a stretcher and me out in cuffs, and that's that. That's vigilantism, and it's in the
Purest
real world.
form.
Yeah, in the real world, in its purest sense. Like, he wasn't able to web sling away or disappear in the Batmobile or
Right.
whatever.
Textbook
Yeah,
hits
no,
right there.
yeah, he knew he was going to be hauled off, and he didn't give a fuck.
Right, because he was already dedicated to his end goal.
Yeah. So it's like the real world vigilantism is very brutal, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not, there is no getting away in the Batmobile at the end of it. Yeah.
Right, right. We romanticize the aspect of vigilantism because we've been exposed to all of these grandiose comic book ideas of what it means to be a vigilante that we forget that vigilantism in its representation versus its execution is a lot uglier than we might want it to be. But that, I feel like that's a form of escapism more than it is. Maybe it is gratifying to have the vigilante get away at the end of the day, do the thing that you know that, like, you want them to do, that you can't do in your real life, but that feels right. In some way, it's probably similar to the feeling of what it means to put on, like, the villain hat.
You should have taken the video then, Weebo. It's not my fault. Server 21, thank you for the $3 and the Weebo legs. Gary Plushy, I think was his name. Dankula did a Mad Lads on him. Poly Opinions on Judge Dredd. With your comic knowledge, ignore that crap Stallone movie. It wasn't Stallone that was the problem. It was, what's his name? The little comedic relief guy? Yeah, whatever. That guy, he was the fucking problem. I like Judge Dredd, the comic book. I mean, it's people don't think of it as I don't know why they're not, but as a dystopian future, borderline cyberpunk film with mega city and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it is. And Rob Schneider, thank you, Snoopy. Rob Schneider. And Trimble. Yeah, I mean, his goofiness, I don't know why they thought that was going to fit into the Judge Dredd world. When you think of, like, the next film they made, simply Dredd, it was lacking any kind of comic relief of that sort. And it was, how much better for it? A lot.
Do not recall.
You haven't seen it?
I've seen a Dredd movie, but I think it was with the guy who played the guy in The Walking Dead, and I can't remember what his name was. Oh, I mean Punisher. I've seen Punisher.
Oh, he is based on a character from the comics, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the first Judge Dredd movie. I mean, I know you told me to forget about the Dredd movie, but the first one.
I didn't
They
watch
try
that
to
one.
fit too much story into too small of a space. Like, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
establish the entire world. We're going to explain who Judge Dredd is. We're going to have him thrown out as a judge. We're going to have Amon Darsante as, his long lost brother. We're going to have. Like, it just, wow. Guys, calm the fuck down. You jammed way too much into too small of a space. It just seems like a mess. Stallone's out there in the fucking outlands with his mentor who took the fall for him, and just the list just goes. It just keeps going. Calm down. Stop trying to fit so fucking much into a movie. Next 6 minutes. Thank you for the 242. If Bad Six was a real comic book villain, who do you see as some of his protagonists out of existing Marvel and DC heroes? Keep in mind, Bad Six was a complete idiot and unchallenging it for most. Who do I see as some of his protagonists that Bad Six is attempting to antagonize?
Like,
Um,
which of the superheroes that we're aware of would
mhm.
be Bad Six's hero? Because, like, okay, so we have the Joker, whose hero is the Batman, Poison Ivy, whose hero is the Batman, Lex Luthor, whose hero is Superman, etc., etc. Who would be Bad Six's hero of comic book heroes, I guess? If I'm understanding the question correctly.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I haven't lost attention. It's like
Mm-hmm.
the way you're describing him is like unchallenging. I'm trying to think of like a want to be superhero who really isn't one.
Booster Gold!
I'm sorry?
Booster Gold!
Booster Gold. Booster Gold is a superhero. Come on.
He's the best of them all.
Uh,
I love his episode of Justice League.
yeah.
Thank you the next 6 minutes for the donation. During my time playing Bad Six for Hideouts and Henchmen with Director Arcater was one of the most fun times I've ever had on stream. I know exactly how you feel when you play Nefarious Nameless Pirate Queen. It's a damn good time. It really is. Alright, Polly, have you figured it out yet?
See, you know who I'm thinking of is one-off characters that appeared in Spider-Man comics over the years,
Mm-hmm.
like Humbug and
Yeah.
people like that thought of themselves as they weren't sure whether they were villains or heroes. They just decided to don the cape and mask and go out there and do stuff.
Right.
And it's like I'm gonna try and stop these criminals. Wait, I need to pay my rent. I'm gonna steal some shit. There were so many characters like that in Spider-Man over the years. That was a great thing about Spider-Man. It was very street level. He's not fighting like cosmic level villains,
Right.
if you know what I mean, and not trying to take on. I mean, the biggest person he ever tried to personally take on would be Kingpin, who was a pretty big mafia guy, but still, that was more Daredevil's nemesis than Spider-Man's.
And yet, the first I ever heard of Kingpin was in The Amazing Spider-Man, I think. The animated TV show as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a great character, Kingpin. Wilson
Oh.
Fisk.
Actually, you know who's got, like, stupid villains? And I say this really only having watched Justice League and the CW show, but The Flash.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think The Flash has really stupid villains. Because aside from literally every speedster ever, what's he got? Freeze Ray Gunman, Mr. Cold, Shiver Me Timbers. I don't know, fucking know. Yeah, no, he's got stupid villains, and a really unentertaining premise. Personally, like I feel like the writers could have done a whole lot more with that had they just been a little bit more imaginative with the Flash. Did you ever watch the CW version?
I have seen bits
Yeah.
that were more than emblematic enough of not continuing, yes.
Yeah. Well, he's got a he's got a villain in that show, really early on, first season, it is like a half shark thing. I can't remember what his name was, but it was a half shark thing. And he was a villain for maybe an episode, and then they just went on with all of the speedster drama. Because it's always speedster drama. Like, I'm the fastest man alive until I'm not. And it's annoying.
Okay, Weebo, I got something for you.
King Shark. Yes.
So, we were talking about a little bit of Die Hard.
Yes. The best Christmas movie of all Christmas movies.
Sure, everyone knows that. The
yes. Carry on.
The is based on a novel by Roderick Thorpe. Nothing Lasts Forever.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
This is something we should do a live read of, just for, because whoever goes after the novel, everyone talks about Die Hard, and they talk about the characters, and they talk about all the interactions, but nobody ever goes back to the novel, which, by the way, is the sequel to a previous novel, The Detective, starring the same characters, and who played the character who became John McClane?
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra.
Really?
In the previous book's movie adaptation, The Detective. Yes.
Wait.
Weird. So Bruce Willis actually followed up the chairman of the board himself, Frank Sinatra.
Wait, in playing the character, like, okay, so Die Hard is a sequel, or the book Die Hard is based off of is a sequel?
Yes.
And
the original book, like, there's The Detective, which is the first book, written by,
and that was adapted into a movie.
It was called the book is called The Detective.
Okay.
Written by Thorpe, and then they adapted it into a film. And the main titular character, or not titular, the main character, the detective, is played by Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
And then Thorpe wrote a sequel to it called Nothing Lasts Forever, and the main character this time is played by Bruce Willis.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to wrap my brain around that. It's Sunday afternoon. And I had a long D&D session yesterday. Holy shit.
So John McClane is what they named him
in
the adaptation. In the book, he's Joseph Leland.
Why change the name?
That's a good question. So here's the description of the plot as per Wikipedia. But let's have fun spotting the differences, because there are many.
Okay.
And there's similarities, but here we go. Retired NYPD detective Joe Leland is visiting the 40-story office headquarters of Claxon Oil Corporation in Los Angeles on Christmas Eve, where his daughter, Stephanie Leland Gennaro, works. While he is waiting for his daughter's Christmas party to end, a group of German Autumn-era terrorists take over the skyscraper. The gang is led by brutal Anton Little Tony the Red Gruber.
Little Tony the Red.
Yeah. Anton Little Tony the Red Gruber. Joe has known about Gruber through a counter-terrorist conference that he had attended years prior. Barefoot, Leland slips away and manages to remain undetected in the gigantic office complex.
Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead and read.
Okay. I wasn't sure if this was gonna interrupt. S-Serpent21, thank you for the donation. Lame villains, Weebo, what about Mad Mod from the Teen Titans show, voiced by Malcolm McDowell, the evil teacher who had a crazy fun house or some shit. Also, Rocky 4 is a better Christmas movie than Die Hard. Okay, hang on, there's a lot to unpack here. First off, Mad Mod was a fantastic villain. I loved him. He was so much fun. It was a great time. Polly, are you familiar?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Wait, are you being sarcastic with me right now?
About what?
About definitely knowing who Mad Mod is?
No, I know things.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how familiar you are with Teen Titans lore in the TV show.
Well, I'm no Weebo, but I...
Okay. Like, you don't have everything on DVD. Like in...
Yeah, I watch it for general comic book fun. I'm not staring at cartoon butts.
Robin had a cape the whole time. I could not enjoy I could not indulge. I want you to know. And that wasn't until later. I had a crush on his face before I had a crush on his butt.
Butt crushing. That sounds really bad, Weebo.
Anyway. And then Rocky 4 is a better Christmas movie than Die Hard. As far as I'm concerned, no, and the reason why I can say that with utmost certainty is I've never actually seen Rocky 4 that I'm aware of, unless I have and I just forgot, in which case then Rocky 4 is obviously not a better Christmas movie than Die Hard, because I would have remembered it had it been a better Christmas movie than Die Hard, alright? So, on all counts, you are wrong. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, sorry. Continue on with your summation, synopsis of the book.
Of Nothing Lasts Forever. So he's there not to save his wife, but his daughter, whose married name is Gennaro. And they switched that around to be his wife, reverting to her maiden name, Gennaro. But,
Right.
On we go.
Also, he's not, retired actually in the TV show. Or in
No,
the
he's
movie,
not.
Whereas he is
Yeah.
in the book. Fun.
Yeah. Barefoot, Leland slips away and manages to remain undetected in the gigantic office complex, armed only with his Browning pistol. It was a Beretta 92 in the film. And in communication with Los Angeles Police Sergeant Al Powell and his belligerent supervisor, Dwayne Robinson. Well, they kept that similar.
Wait, what about Johnson & Johnson, the FBI agents?
No relation. Yeah, they were great. They were great.
Agents Johnson & Johnson, no relation.
Leland fights off the terrorists one by one in an attempt to save the 74 hostages, his daughter, and grandchildren. After executing the CEO of the Claxon building, of the Claxon building? Wouldn't he be the CEO of the company, not the building? But whatever.
How do you be the CEO of a building?
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Rivers is the CEO's name. Gruber and the terrorists proceed to steal documents that will publicly expose the Claxon Corporation's dealing with Chile's junta. They also intend to deprive Claxon of the proceeds of the corrupt deal of the $6 million in cash by attempting to access a safe. Leland interferes with this plan by stealing explosives and progressively killing the terrorists and receiving multiple injuries in the process. Leland kills most of the terrorists and, despite no help from the police, faces off with the leader of the terrorist group, Anton Little Tony Red Gruber, who is holding his daughter hostage. Gruber falls to his death while being shot by Leland, unfortunately taking Stephanie with him. Spoilers!
Oh, wow. Wait, did she
Blaming
die?
Blaming Claxon for the terrorist attack and his daughter's death, Leland throws the cash out of the window himself. Once Leland is back on the street, the last terrorist, Carl, who was presumed dead earlier, returns and starts a shooting rampage, killing police, including Robinson, and a doctor in the process, before Sergeant Al Powell finally kills him, allowing Leland to receive medical care. Wow.
Wow, that's not a fun Christmas movie at all.
So
like, I'm glad they made some of the changes that they did.
And lightened it up. Like, it just... Holy shit. Damn, you dark, Thor.
Ah, diggity. That sucks. Yeah, no, I'm glad that they didn't end it on a bad note. Like they wanted to.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's rough.
That's rough, buddy. So you've never read it then?
Nope.
Okay. Any interest?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a big part of it's ruined now. Like the
Right?
whole time you're reading the book, you're gonna be, yeah, she dead.
'Twas
Yeah, she
all
dead.
for naught.
Yeah.
Buddy. This building is my building. I started this building when it was but a cinder block, and I grew it into the structure you will see before you. Black Romeo, that's funny. Because CEO of buildings. That book ruined Christmas. Yeah, basically. That would not have made the best Christmas movie of all time. Okay. Polly, I'm gonna say something that I think that we can all agree with here. It's not so much that it takes place during Christmas that makes it a Christmas movie, right? Or the best Christmas movie. it has to have feel-good elements to it in order for it to qualify as a decent Christmas movie. One of those, like, feel-good elements being, like, we have a happy ending at the end of the movie, right? So that would not have made the best Christmas movie. But the one that they actually adapted, like, the book that they actually adapted and then reformatted to fit Christmas, that makes for the best Christmas movie of all time.
Right.
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 Yeah. Getting the bad guys. Yeah, if you get the bad guys, that's important. You gotta get the bad guys.
It's just talking about the comparison between the movie and the book, and it's some of the most famous action sequences are taken directly from the book. Leland/McLean crawling through air conditioning ducts, Leland McLean dropping a C4 bomb down an elevator shaft, Leland McLean jumping off an exploding roof with a fire hose attached to his waist and then shooting through a window to regain entry, Leland/McLean taping a gun to his back at the climax. It's like, okay, that's cool, but you know. And then it's left, the ending of the novel is also different in that it suggests that the wounds that Joe sustained were so severe that he could possibly succumb to them and die.
Really? Oh, wow. That's not a happy ending. Jeez.
Yeah.
The happy ending for Die Hard is that she went back to her married name. That's the Christmas ending. He gets his family at the end. Yes. I would say, I would argue that is the happy Christmassy ending aspect. It's not so much that all the bad guys got defeated, but it's the family element, the coming together in times of crisis because we are family and we remember that now. And it only took a hostage situation and several dead bodies to realize that fact.
Well, I mean, there's the thing is, it's like I get
Fuck
it. It's
therapy.
a Christmas movie. Like, so hold on. The whole reason she was out there is because she wanted a career and got this incredible dream job, and is discussed between the limo driver and Willis.
Right.
The whole reason he didn't come out there with her is because he thought that she was going to come out there, her little dream job wasn't going to work out, and she was going to end up coming back, quote, home to New York.
Right.
And he's going out there to spend Christmas with her, even though, you know, Mr. Detective, he's got to stay a cop because he's a cop,
right,
bleeds blue, etc.
Right.
Like, how is any of that situation solved by dint of what happened with Hans Gruber and company? It's like because Mr. Takagi's dead, the company collapses, and Miss Gennaro ain't got no job no more.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you see what I mean? It's like, okay, so it's like they get back together, but they live in Los Angeles and New York. How did they do? Who's quitting their job is the question. I don't understand.
Well, hang on. Die Hard 2. What happens in Die Hard 2? Because I'm pretty sure in Die Hard 2.
Okay, so Die Hard 2, which I actually like more than Die Hard 1. I know that's sacrilege.
Really?
But, yeah, well, it happens in Dulles Airport. It's in my neck of the woods. Yeah, it was fine. And they called deliberate attention to it.
Right. Now he is a lieutenant with the Los Angeles Police Department, so he is the one that makes the change, because he's still a police officer. He's just a police officer in a different part of the country.
Okay. Because I'm sitting there thinking, I can't remember. I, of course, remember that she is flying in, and the whole movie is based around terrorists holding planes hostage, not allowing them to land until they run out of fuel and crash because they're trying to rescue the drug smuggling military guy who's coming in because they're getting paid heavily to do it. And so let's hold all the people in the planes hostage so we can rescue this one drug lord military guy. Mm-hmm. And his wife, is on one of the planes. That's why he's interested. But this is happening like on the East Coast, but it just so happens that they're out there for Christmas vacation. That's the only reason. But he's a Los Angeles police detective. That answers the question. Okay,
right, so he moves on. But the chat is telling me that in Die Hard 3, he is, again, a New York police officer. So, hang on. Hard 3. Die Hard 3. Did they forget their own lore? Did we did we just discover a hole? Okay, hang on. The Bonwit Teller department store in New York City is destroyed by a bomb during the morning commute. The New York Police Department gets a call from Simon claiming responsibility. He threatens to detonate another suspended police officer. He threatens to detonate another unless suspended police officer Lieutenant John McClane is dropped in Harlem wearing a sandwich board with a racial slur on it. Oh. Where is he called in? Hang on. Is he called in from Los Angeles?
That's a good question. Die Hard 3 is the one that...
I don't remember that.
Okay, 3, 4, and 5 I've only seen once, because that was enough.
Yeah, that was enough.
Yeah, 1 and 2 I've seen several times, but, you know, especially Die Hard 4. Fuck me. Like, it was the computer hacker one.
Right.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, they got a little bit ridiculous going forward there.
Yeah, then 5 is they're in Russia.
And his son is the John
dude.
McClane now.
Yeah, he's the dude man, and he needs the old man to come and like save him. But he's actually undercover or something or things or whatever.
How dare you? Dad, can't you see I'm working?
I'm trying to capture
It'd be
someone.
like the today's equivalent of like a streamer's mom walking in on them while they're playing some Fortnite to an audience of like 50 or 100 people. Yeah. Mom, can't you see I'm busy working?
Yes.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson is actually in the Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah. He's the guy who's hanging out when Jesus Christ. He's the guy who's hanging out when Willis when what's his name? McDowell? Mm-hmm. Whoever the fuck. English actor playing Simon, the brother of Hans Gruber. Makes McClane go through all of these fucking rigmarole things to distract the police from the fact that he's trying to steal gold.
Right.
And one of the things he makes him do is walk into a black neighborhood wearing a placard that says, "I hate nerds." And so Samuel L. Jackson's the store owner, spots him. And he ends up getting caught up in the whole shebang.
Okay, the Wikipedia says... Film stars Bruce Willis as NYPD Lieutenant John McClane and Samuel L. Jackson as McClane's reluctant partner, Zeus Carver. Hang on. Hold up. There's got to be, like, some sort of lore written about John McClane on a wiki somewhere that isn't Wikipedia that goes into more detail about his relationship. I'm sure. Ah, yes, there is a Die Hard wiki. A fandom wiki. So... They did get a divorce, it says. Here. Where's my... Cat? She's in my way. Yeah. Hold on. Sit. Lay down. Put your head down, child. Sweet child. There we go.
Okay. They got a divorce. There it is.
Yeah, it says they got a divorce. Die Hard.
And Jonathan says their marriage fell apart and he went back to New York. So there you go. All for nothing.
I guess the shooting therapy didn't work out.
Okay, Weebo, read on. I will be back in just a moment.
I'm looking. Shish. Bone. Looking for the thing about the thing with the stuff about the thing. It says... And Holly. Even though he knows she'll be furious with him for leaving her hanging earlier. That's... Dude. It said that John has not spoken to Holly in a year. He's also, according to his captain, 2 steps away from becoming a full-blown alcoholic. He's only 1 step away. It's much closer to how he was in 1988, albeit in a more foul mood due to his hangover. Okay. Hang on. McClane comes off as a lot more lighthearted and jokey. This probably due to the fact that this is the only time in the series where he's shown happily married with no personal or marital struggles to be found. 5 years later in Die Hard with a Vengeance, we can find that McClane has hit rock bottom. This is the first time in the series where we see John looking ungroomed with his hair unkept and clearly visible stubble growing in on his face. Okay. He was a heavy smoker during the first 3 Die Hard films. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. The McClane clearly learns from his mistake in marriage by the end of the first film and is finding happiness with Holly in Die Hard 2. It's likely that he's let his ego get the best of him once again, sometime around 1994. It's stated early in Die Hard with a Vengeance that McClane hadn't spoken to Holly in over a year, probably due to some kind of argument. It's confirmed that Holly and John did eventually separate at some point in the 12 years between Die Hard with a Vengeance and Live Free Die Hard. When talking to Matthew Farrell about being a hero, McClane admits that he had in the past allowed his family and the woman he loved to come second after his own personal agenda and heroics, and he's clearly bitter about it, saying that it had cost him his family. Womp, womp, womp. Anyway, it happens. Oh my gosh, I have a hole in my chin. I'm sorry. Ah! Anyway, yeah. Fan wikis. Pro tip for everyone who cares. Wait, all 3 of you. Fan wikis are an incredible way to get information about your favorite media that you didn't otherwise know, that you can't otherwise find on, like, the general wiki. Always go to Fandom Wiki because it's typically pretty good about summarizing characters, their appearances, their history, their family relationships, their relationships with significant others, and other characters. Let's see, what else I got here? Personality traits, and fun facts and trivia. So, personally, it's what I use whenever it is that I need to find any sort of in-depth character information regarding a character that I am obsessing over for whatever reason. Yeah. Hi, child. Are you coming to join me? Get your tail out of the people's face, please. Thank you. Let me grab you by the butt and hold you against your will until you get sick of me. Is there a Weebo wiki? Not presently, but if you feel so inclined as to fill up a Wikipedia with all of my fun facts and things, by all means, go right ahead, kids.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, Polly.
Hello.
I was just instructing the audience about fandom wikis and how useful they are for finding things out about your favorite fiction.
They can be.
Mm-hmm.
They can be.
Indeed.
Some of them are just really empty. Like there's wikis that people started, but wikis have really got to be a group passion effort when it comes to fiction stuff. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Like, when you look at like the Star Trek wiki, Memory Alpha is like, I hope someone's backed that up. Multiple people have backed it up because it is a major effort of nerdy passion love. People going through the fan magazines that were created from like the 70s and the 80s to find information and interviews. So like any episode or whatever the fuck that you go to, the additional information just expanding everything. It's not just the description of the episode and who was in it. The people went through because they're hyper nerds. We're talking about Star Trek here.
Right.
They went through
Mega, super, ultra freaking nerds.
Yeah, crazy levels. Like, there's 4 actors in this who are in previous Star Trek episodes, and here's the links to those episodes, but they're uncredited for being in here because they did not have a speaking role. They were just in the background. Like, that level of fucking nerdery. Mm-hmm. And then all of the crossover links, and that's Memory Alpha for Star Trek proper. And then all the extended universe stuff, like books and so on and so forth that aren't canon and games, that's Memory Beta. I mean, holy shit, have they gone far. But then there's some shows where, like, you really dig it and somebody created a wiki, but all the nerds didn't show up. So it's kind of empty. There's maybe like 75 pages in the thing in total, if you know what I mean. It's
not all fandoms are created equal. I will say that.
Yeah.
The hallmark of, like, a successful IP is how vast the fandom is. And I think that that that's certifiably true. I mean, Wikipedia has been mentioned here, which is insanely filled. I mean, the expanded lore for Star Wars is quite nuts. The actual trilogy, the main trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, they're like
Mhm.
they encompass only like a small vector of what actual like in universe information there is out there accessible to fans. And yes, I'm including the non-canon stuff, the stuff that Disney decanonized recently, in this broad perspective of things, because it's like, here is the recognized canon, here is everything that used to be canon in Star
Right.
Wars. There's so much. It's kind of insane, actually. And a lot of that is due to the passion of the fans. Like, a lot of fan work has gone into the thing. There are comics, there are other stories that people have written that are, you know, fantastical. Like, they're not I don't want to say that they're not canon, because they're technically not canon, but they're not uncanon in the sense that they used to be canon, but they are no longer canon, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess Star Trek is similar in that same vein, or I would
Well,
guess, right?
what? Yes, basically. I mean, Josh Montgomery asked a good question. There's so much non-canon Star Trek out there. What makes it canon? It unfortunately, we know we live in current year, right? So head canons are necessary with all the corporate, highly funded fanfic going on. I mean, look at Disney and Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How did Luke Skywalker? Oh, again with the Weebo legs. They just can't get enough of your legs, Weebo.
I know. Well, it's good because I shaved them literally 2 hours ago, so they're nice and
Yeah,
baby
well, I
soft.
mean, yeah, look how smooth that negligee just slips right off. I
I know,
mean,
right? It doesn't get
it,
like caught on any extraneous hairs or anything.
yeah,
It's
it's
great.
that's the key. Travis Gardner, thank you for the $3 in the Weebo legs. What's the deal with Polly and Wicca? Yes, Ray said, "Don't say Wicca around Polly." Well, I'll explain in just a second what the deal is there. The
What's the deal? Okay,
it,
sorry.
what makes it canon? It's actually really straightforward. What makes something Trek canon? It has to be one of the 13 films, one of the TV series, and then two of the books, and that is it. Everything else is non-canon. Unfortunately, that means that it includes stuff that shouldn't be canon in my mind. Okay, 13 films plus the three JJ verse films, the
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin timeline as it gets called, the JJ Abrams three films.
Right.
Those also they count as canon, but they're that because time was fucked with. It's a separate timeline, the Kelvin timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine with that. Fine, it's a separate timeline. But now we got to count Star Trek Discovery, which is total trash, as canon. And it's like, fuck you. It's impossible to make it fit. And same thing with Picard. See? They can't get enough. Just by looking at your legs.
I need a donation equally as luscious.
Scintillating?
Yes, that's the word. Scintillating.
Yeah.
I need one as equally as scintillating.
Super 21, thank you for $3. Star Wars comics. Polly, talk about Dark Empire, or as I would call it, Better Rise of Skywalker. Dark Empire is one of my favorite EU Star Wars pieces.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the Dark Empire was incredible. Like to the point where, I mean, I remember what's her name, the lady that was in charge of Lucasfilm there. I forget her name, slipped my mind. Uh, she's in her original announcement. We're not counting any of the EU stuff, and it's like, yeah, but then you ended up borrowing from so much of it. It
Yeah.
it's you Thrawn ends up showing up in the animated series, and he's one of the most beloved characters from the trilogy series to follow Return of the Jedi. That is considered extended universe stuff, but fuck whatever, man. Look, here's the simple way to decide it in terms of like Trek, right? It ended with Star Trek Enterprise. The last episode of Star Trek Enterprise, that's the end of the canon. So
Okay.
it's TOS, TAS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise, and then the 13 films, and then the two novels. Stop. And the two novels are the weird ones. They're the one-off that people are like, how? Wait, there's novels that are canon? Yeah, only two of them because they're written by a show creator, Jerry. Fuck. Not Jerry Ryan because that's 7 of 9. Jerry Taylor. I forget. She's the co-creator of Star Trek Voyager,
Yeah.
and she wrote 2 books that are basically, you know, when a show has a show Bible, as they call it, where it explains each character, who they are, what their backstory is. It's information for writers.
It's like a lore book.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And they nickname it a show Bible. And instead of writing a show Bible, she wrote 2 novels that take the form of a narrative, but when you're reading them, all you're learning about is the various crew members, and most importantly, Captain Janeway, because Captain Janeway is Jerry what's-her-name's Mary Sue character. And it's
Fun.
I know, right? She is not, Captain Janeway is not from season 2 on that way, but if you watch her if you watch season 1 of Voyager, holy shit, Captain Janeway is the every person. She's a scientist, she's a warrior, she's a commanding officer.
Oh, she's like who I want to be when I grow up.
She's literally the worst micromanager ever, will not delegate anything to anyone because she could do everything better than anyone. She's constantly saying, I relieve you of the helm, Lieutenant, like, because she's going to take control of the ship. She's constantly pushing people out of the way to access consoles and whatnot, and a problem will arise, and her science officer or security officer will suggest a solution to the tech problem or a tactical solution to the security problem, and she will one-up them and say, well, Mr. Tuvok, isn't it more likely that we would come out in a better way if we were to do this? And Tuvok will be, why, yes, Captain. Even though I'm over 150 years old and I've been a security officer for longer than you've been alive, your random suggestion totally beats mine because, you know, you are the superheroine of this story. I mean, it only happens in season 1, and thank God it's short because it can get pretty bad at times.
The original Mary Jane? Really? Or do you mean Mary Sue?
Mary Sue.
No,
Yes.
I was just asking what Snoopy meant in the chat. So Mary Sue is much different from a Mary Jane.
Well, Mary Sue, interestingly, I mean, as Quiz is quick to remind people, I mean, that comes from a Star Trek fanfiction.
It does!
Yeah. It
Oh my
does.
gosh. All right. Hang on. The original Mary Sue fan fiction. I have to read this to the chat because like the very
You will not be getting Polly Legs Dono, gayest person on YouTube. It's not going to happen. I should find one. I should just find some super muscular, like, you know, Schwarzenegger just standing there like, with his legs from behind and just like, that's me.
Polly, allow me. I will find it. A Trekkie's Tale. Let me read this to you live, chat. Just a little bit. A little excerpt from A Trekkie's Tale. Oh, gee, golly gosh, Glorski, thought Mary Sue as she stepped on the bridge of the Enterprise. Here I am, the youngest lieutenant in the fleet, only 15 and a half years old. Captain Kirk came up to her. Oh, Lieutenant, I love you madly. Will you come to bed with me? Captain, I'm not that kind of girl. You're
and I'm
right.
15 and you're 35. Holy shit! Go on. Jesus Christ.
You're right, and I respect you for it. Here, take over the ship for a minute while I go get some coffee for us. Mr. Spock came on the bridge. What are you doing in command seat, Lieutenant? The captain told me so. Or, the captain told me to. Sorry. Flawlessly logical. I admire your mind. Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Mr. Scott. Oh my god, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Beamed down with Lieutenant Mary Sue to Rigel XXXV1 or VII. They were attacked by green androids and thrown into prison. In a moment of weakness, Lieutenant Mary Sue revealed to Mr. Spock that she too was half Vulcan. Recovering quickly, she sprung the lock with her hairpin, and they all got away back to the ship. But back on board, Dr. McCoy and Lieutenant Mary Sue found out that the man who had beamed down were seriously stricken by... Oh, I am having an aneurysm. That's what this is. Okay.
Okay.
Found out that the men who had been beamed down were seriously stricken by the jumping cold Robbies. Mary Sue less so. While the 4 officers languished in sickbay, Lieutenant Mary Sue ran the ship, and ran it so well she received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Vulcan Order of Gallantry, and... Okay, let me try this word. the Tralfamdorian Order of Good Guyhood. I don't know what that means, but we carry on. However, the disease finally got to her and she fell fatally ill. In the sick bay, as she breathed her last, she was surrounded by Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Mr. Scott, all weeping unashamedly at the loss of her beautiful youth and youthful beauty. Intelligence, capability, and all-around niceness. Even to this day, her birthday is a national holiday of the Enterprise.
Holy fuck. I had never, I had only heard of it. Jesus Christ. That's something.
I'm so glad that we had this conversation so that I could read that to you, Polly, so that you could experience, for the first time in your life, the true Mary Sue-ness that is Mary Sue. Whew. For the love of all that is good and kind, make it stop. Now, is it the full thing? Oh, yeah, no, I think it is the full thing. I'm pretty sure that is the full thing. And that was all that there was. Yep, looks like it. Okay.
Wow.
There is no more. I read the whole thing in its entirety.
Right to the point.
Mm-hmm. This is almost as bad as My Immortal. Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, there's not endless descriptions of the clothing she's wearing.
Ebony, Darkness, what was it? Ebony, Darkness, Dementia, Raven Way. Ebony.
Fuck me.
Did I ever make you read that with me?
No. You read it with someone else, but I have read it separately with, Bar and Pop-Tart.
It's still to this day one of my favorite pieces of literature to have ever existed and to have ever have been read by myself. Someday you know what I'm gonna do someday is I'm gonna record myself actually reading it, like all the way through, with the voices.
I think my favorite individual line was, I'm trying to remember. They were on their way to a My Chemical Romance concert, because of course they were.
Yeah.
from Hogwarts, and they're in the limo, and on the way we did drugs and cocaine or something to that effect. It was just holy shit.
Her full name is Ebony Darkness, but with like an apostrophe between dark and ness. So Darkness, Dementia, Raven Way, or Enobi for short. Because I think the writers forgot how to spell ebony midway through. My favorite piece of classical literature of all time.
There's so many layers.
It's only just marginally like better than Hogwarts School of something in prayer. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something in prayer. Also a good fan fiction. That's what I love to do. Is find really shitty fan fiction and read through it. Make other people read through the shitty fan fiction too. It gives me some sort of like sick pleasure to walk through that with other people, to torture them in that way. It's probably the most sadistic thing that I do, like ever, at all.
Yeah.
I did a couple streams with Scribe and Monkey and had them read it. Ah, that's right, yes. I made Monkey read it, didn't I? For an audience, too. I need to go find those and pull them, like, out of the archives, because I have them still. Like, I don't delete anything, people. I save it and treasure it forever. So that one day, my grandchildren can look back upon their grandmother Weebo and go, oh, so that's what the kids were doing in their time. Yes, that was what the kids were doing in their time. Reading My Immortal with SDA got you into trouble, as I recall. I recall that it did.
Speaking of getting into trouble, YouTube took the last episode of AAA that I did and put it behind an age gate.
Is it not already behind an age gate?
No,
Well, why wouldn't you make it inappropriate for children in the first place?
I did. Like you know
Right,
the
you have the...
the ticky box where it
Right.
says, "Is this made for children?" And it's like, no.
No,
But none
don't
of
show
them
it.
none of them have been specifically identified as such. Like this is the first time that's ever happened.
Really?
I've had videos taken down before, whatever. But this is your content. The AAA meeting number 224, checkmate flat earthers, may not be appropriate for all audiences. So we've placed an age restriction on it. Users who are under 18 or not signed in can no longer view it.
So, what was so bad about it?
I don't know.
What did
Like
you do?
it says review content, and you can click on it to review content. It opens a separate window, and it says please review the video, and here's a link to our terms and services and content guidelines. But all it does is start playing the entirety of the fucking video. So what part, in what way,
The
I
whole
don't know.
thing
Yeah.
is
It says-
inappropriate.
It says review your content with our guidelines in mind. Okay.
Can you
I-
give me an indication of what was
Or
inappropriate?
better yet, a timestamp.
Right? Like, where? Where in this 2 hours was it bad? Point me. I'm dumb.
And see, this is why I don't buy the Turkey Man theory that people have come up with. Why one of the AAA episodes was taken down, and people insist it's because Turkey Man was shown in that episode, and I don't think so. I think it was the title.
Give me one sec, Polly. Sorry, he's agreeing with me that I'm dumb.
Oh,
Thanks! Sorry, okay, Turkey Man, is that the turkey leg person? Sucking on the turkey leg?
no, it's the man on the table dressed as a turkey
Well, I don't know what that is.
with the two children tied to chairs. Like it's a I wish yeah, it's a pretty haunting image. But that was exactly the point. There were a number of
Maybe that's why it's not appropriate for children.
well, whatever. There's lots of shit on AAA or Noir Bar for that matter that Garavline, thank you for the tree fitty. Polly is edgy boy, so edgy. They can't handle any of him. That's right. I'm
He was
too
so
spicy
edgy.
for YouTube. That's what I told Sam last night. That's why they threw me behind an age gate. Only now, just now, Weebo, have they developed the technology to understand the purity of my edge.
Yeah?
Well, I don't
Thank
believe
you for
anyone's
your
watching
patronage.
That's
the
fair.
smut I put on YouTube. They're not subjecting anyone to that.
YouTube is watching the smut you put on YouTube, and they're determining it is inappropriate for children, so...
No, some bot is my point. And only
Yeah.
now have they developed the AI tech capable of understanding the spice.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. Thank you the next 6 minutes for the donation. You need to find all the streams where you and others ever read My Immortal and make one giant supercut. I agree. This needs to be done. Did we even finish My Immortal? I don't think we did. But anyway.
Yeah,
So
you
you
know, I
got
don't
in
get.
trouble.
I guess.
Have you learned your lesson?
No.
Okay. Well, you're gonna do it again then.
I mean, they took down an episode of Comic Book Curation. I still don't understand why. It just said the content was unacceptable or whatever, violated our terms of service. And I've watched the video and I'm like, what about it? I don't.
Was it the thumbnail one?
Okay, see, there's the thing. The guess is it's the thumbnail because you got to guess because it's not like they say, but it was a sexy comic book woman on the thumbnail. Yeah, they all have one. So why did that video? Was there something particularly, I don't know,
I thought your
sexual
working
about
theory
it?
was
No,
the fact
it really
that you
wasn't.
could like see the butt cleft or whatever. It was something to do
You
with
can
the
see
butt,
the butt cleft
outline.
you can see the butt cleft in all of them because superheroes, men and women, all wear skin tight cat suits. So what? That's why we started joking about a butt detector bot that they had running around YouTube. They could spot the shape of a butt. And
Assassins of the
How many
Great.
sexy thumbnails have you seen? I've seen lots
Oh,
of girls in
plenty.
bikinis and blah blah blah. Why are you going after the fucking hand-drawn cartoons? It's crazy to me.
Assassins of the Great, you did not finish. Someone in your family took umbrage at your reading inappropriate materials, you said. Oh, okay, so that issue was a twofold issue. It was, that was I believe I remember that was when we did the rebrand with the Two Girls One Stream over to the professionals. That was also when I had to take a hiatus from SideQuest because certain members of my family were not happy with my online shenanigans and being so hilarious, as I'll put it. Them probably will say inappropriate, but we will agree to disagree. There's no possible way for them to use against me anymore, so it's not an issue. So we're fine. So fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. I love being an independent adult person with my own like money and stuff now. It's quite nice.
I'm looking for a copy of Turkey Man. It's somewhere here, damn it. I wanted
Yeah,
to
you
show
gotta send it to me because I'm so curious.
Here, let me show you something. This is a similar image. Not similar. I was showing creepy. I was just doing disturbed imagery, cursed images
Cursed
on
images.
AAA because I don't give a fuck. That's basically the short reason why. This image was up there as well, but everyone says it was Turkey Man that was the problem.
Oh, that is a cursed image.
Yeah, a little bit.
Chat, for those of you who are not seeing this, which is all of you, it's a man holding 2 fish in each of his hands with a giant pickle in his mouth, protruding from his mouth. And in front of him are 2 other gentlemen with bread affixed upon their scalps, with milk pouring from each of their open cups, runneth over onto the bread, and they are both sucking on the opposite end of a pickle, and everyone's shirtless. What is the context here?
I don't know. Gamer Valine, thank you for the 350. I don't know. I caught your Black Pill border rant. If you had done that on air, it wouldn't have stayed up. I have caught some of the depths of your cynicism. Well,
We all have our black pill moments, all right? It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
My Black Pill border rant. Which one? Server 21, thank you for the $3. Polly, I had a dream I was in the Dominion War from DS9, and we had to evacuate the station again. The first thing I thought of, does this mean that Anne Margaret's not coming? Cisco gave me a death glare. You need to write that up as a fanfic. A little short story. No longer the Lieutenant Mary Sue. Yeah. But get it all out.
It was such a beautiful reading by yours truly. I wish I had done it perfectly, though. That's my only regret.
So from way back, Travis Gardner asks, what's the deal with Polly and Wicca? I'm not a big fan of Wicca. Wicca, generally speaking, these are general statements, of course. It's a packaged potpourri pile of fucking new age nonsense. There's a short version of it. People that are talking about Wicca are either, generally speaking, no one take any offense, trying to be fucking super edgy, or being duped into buying shit that just don't work. Like, I hate to crack it to you, but your spell book don't do shit, and your magic amulets don't do shit, and your fucking black candles may look edgy, but they don't do shit. I don't know how to tell it to you. And when you hear one of them talking about it, they're like, well, actually, a bunch of it's always in reference to something else. Christianity stole this. This existed before Christianity. And it's like, can you talk about the thing in a vacuum, though? That's the question. Like, talk about it without referencing other things. And, like, is it coming from a consistent tradition historically? And the answer is largely no. That's what I mean. It's a large potpourri mix of nonsense. Like, there's Celtic stuff, Germanic stuff, all mixed together into this bizarre, I don't know what to call it.
It's just like a massive conglomerate of all of the paganist religions combined into one.
Yeah,
like pick and choose.
It's a blend of stupidity. It seems very much informed by pop culture, movies, generally speaking.
Pop culture religion.
There are so many witch channels on YouTube that do very, very well. There's no denying that. They've got a huge following, get lots of views, lots of subs, right? And yeah, they're selling you spell packets of, like, in a glass bottle will be the instructions and all of the herbs and spices and whatnot that you will need to cast the given low magic spell for health or luck or vitality or whatever. And they're selling you herbs and spices in a glass bottle. And they've also got an Etsy store. I mean, I don't know.
They're charlatans.
Yeah. I don't know. I've gone into rants about it, but it's...
Daniel Froman says, but the Wiccans cursed Trump and look at what happened to him. Yeah, you know what? Actually, they did do the whole vagina spell, didn't they? Where, like, they all of the Wiccans of the world, they just cursed him one night to have bad luck, and look at what happened 2 years later. 2 years? Was it 2 years? Was it more than that?
Look, if your goal was to take down Trump, he's the only president in U.S. history that was impeached twice and failed to be removed from office twice. So, way to put a magical shield around him. Nicely done.
I will say the most experience that I've ever had with, like, New Age Wiccan shenanigans was relegated to high school. We had a lot of people who thought themselves secret warlocks in high school. And I think...
secret warlocks.
Secret warlocks, like they would Naruto run all over the school, sporting foxtails on their jeans, affixed to the back of their jeans. They would, like, draw on their hands, in their knuckles or whatever, and do, like, ninjutsu or whatever with their hands, and pretend like that did something. It was quite surreal, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I myself, I was intrigued by the occult at a young age, sure, but I never went that far with it. Like, I think we all play pretend at some point in our life where they're like, oh, I wish I'll get my owl from Hogwarts at some point. And then you never do, and then you kind of, like, snap yourself out of that that delusion. You're like, oh, I live in the real world. There is no dragon egg that I will be bequeathed with by some magical elf somewhere else. And then you're just like, alright, cool. Carrying on with my life. Back to reality. Some people never get that.
No, they don't. And there's nothing... there's actually everything understandable about somebody who's young being intrigued by a system of processes that has its own lore and so on and so forth. Makes lots of sense. To never snap out of it or ask the question. Ask the question, damn it. What underlies this? What worldview supports this? And it's like, well, who needs to know that? Anybody to take anything fucking seriously? I mean, the straightforward question. What is all this based on? It's like, oh, well, there's these runes that came from where? From time immemorial, so you don't have an answer. Good. Great. But you take a look at a survivable tradition,
right?
Be it religious or spiritual or secular, for that matter. There's an underlying worldview to it. So and I have heard people attempt to explain. Listen to Styx, Hex, and Hammer explain his interest in the occult. It's just an interest. There's no underlying worldview there.
Oh yeah.
He unintentionally ends up admitting it. Several times I've heard him do it. Where he's like, oh, I used to be into Satanism until I realized it was just atheism with a floor shell. That's a quote from him. It's a made-up pageantry and process and ritual that isn't based on anything. So I'm not trying to... I myself am not a materialist. I'm not trying to argue a secular atheism or anything of the fucking sort. I'm just trying to say, hey, listen, the things you're playing around with are just that. Toys and games based on nothing.
Right.
Or nothing you can explain at the very least. Even partially. So there. That's my issue with Wiccanism.
Now, those people that grow up to realize that they live in the real world, they end up being the type of person that's going to write, like, 200 pages of lore for their own fictional universe that they wish existed. Hi, hello, that's me. And then turn it into a book. Because they're like, you know what? I have all these things in my head now, and I gotta put them into something. Otherwise, all of that time that I spent reading up on the occult for naught, it will be for naught. So let's put this to practical use. That isn't selling people cure-alls and what's it that are supposed to help them IRL on Etsy, right? I don't want to scam people.
Right.
I just want to tell them a good story.
I have a Ouija board. It was made by Parker Brothers, the makers of Chutes and Ladders and shit. Like, what the fuck? What does that tell you?
I have heard, okay, here's something funny. Tarot cards, kind of tangentially related, but tarot cards, I've heard from people who dabble in that, they don't work unless they're given to you by someone else as a gift. Otherwise, they're just,
Oh, yeah?
pieces of paper. So they have to be bequeathed unto you. Now, I don't know how true this... I don't know how legitimate this claim is. No, I do. It's not. But, still, I don't know where this comes from. If it has any sort of background to substantiate the claim in any capacity. I don't know. I don't even... How do I articulate what I'm trying to say? I don't know if this is canon. There we go. I don't know if this is canon to the lore on tarot cards or if it's just something someone made up. But there it is. That's what I've heard. And it's probably the same way with like the Ouija boards. Like, they don't work unless X thing has been fulfilled. And so just buying one from the store is
No
meaningless.
good.
Right.
Well, I'm
being
sure
said.
the Ouija boards that people are using. I mean, you can go onto Etsy and buy super fancy ones with, I forget what the pointer dealie's called, that are all made out of brass or bronze or whatever the fuck, and stylistically shaped with gargoyle faces on them and whatnot.
I will say this. If my children ever came home with a Ouija board, mass manufactured or not, I don't give a shit. It's going in the fire outside. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm not risking the biscuit, because I don't know shit, alright? I don't know anything.
Not risking the biscuit.
I'm not risking releasing a demon in my household that I will not be able to get rid of, and going through the whole debacle that is a horror movie, a B-class horror movie. I'm not risking it, alright?
I was never a believer until I had no choice.
Right. Do you want to run the risk of accidentally releasing a demon onto your family? Do you, Polly? Do you? Chances are very slim. 1% maybe not even 1% chance that it's possible. But if it is in the slightest, do you want to risk it? It's such an easy way to not have to deal with that if you just... There will be no Ouijas in my house. None. If you disagree, get the fuck out. We just end up summoning Magog by accident. Yeah, I don't even want that. I'm not terribly superstitious. I'm slightly stitious.
I like it. Slightly stitious.
Right?
So what are the so you say you're not terribly superstitious. What are the not things you would buy into, but what would you avoid doing? Like walking under a ladder, et cetera, et cetera. Like do you avoid stepping on cracks and sidewalks? What?
No, I actively go out of my way to step on cracks and sidewalks. I want to break my mom's back.
Jesus Christ. I jump up and down on him.
Yeah! Whenever mom pisses me off. You're like,
Here,
all right,
Lane,
Mom.
thank you for the 350. My mother gave birth to me, releasing a demon on The Family is Fine. We only bite a little.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's fuck.
Okay, so I guess I draw the line at, inviting any of that nonsense into my household. Any sort of thing that is marginally occult and can, I'm very... The house guests tradition, right? You invite something into your house, you feed it, you water it, or you don't water it, you give it food and water, drink, whatever. You're hospitable to the thing. Because if not, then it's rude for one, but I wasn't raised to not be welcoming to people. Like, people come into my house, I take care of them. It's my house. This is their sanctuary for as long as they're invited in, as long as they are here. And part of that is obviously because that was how I was raised, but the other part of that is also because, like, there's some ingrained part of me that goes, there will be karma if I am not up to snuff in my house guest traditions, you know? If
It's
I don't
very
do the thing.
classical world of you, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, in terms of the Greek tradition around house guests.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
a boyfriend was the same way,
think about
too.
the Odyssey for a second. I mean, how long did, what was her name, Penelope, put up with guests?
Oh, she
Like,
put up with them for quite
over a
some time.
decade, wasn't it?
Right, yeah. And
All
part
the
of the
scooters?
impetus behind that is you think they could potentially be the gods, because the gods had a tendency to do that. They just show up at people's houses and it was like, hey, feed me. And if you didn't, you were cursed with plagues and a deformity of some sort. And it's not great. I'm not worried about that, but I am worried that not being
Genial.
welcoming to people can come back to bite me. Maybe in the way that they perceive me and my household, or maybe just in general, if you're not the nicest person on the onset, it might karmically come back to bite you. That's the thing that I guess I would be superstitious about in that sense. But also inviting things that should not be welcomed into my house also is a big no-no. Like I mentioned the Ouija board. There will be no Ouija boards in my house for any reason at any point in time. No Ouija boards on my property. It's not happening at all. But like other things that could potentially welcome in bad energy. I don't even know what that would mean. Just things that's like are off-putting. You know? And that could be something as mundane as the wrong colored tapestry. Or something that looks funny. Like a doll. A really weird looking porcelain freaking doll with eyes that follows you. That's not stepping foot in my house. Mainly because I would hope it doesn't have the ability to walk. But also, like, no, I don't want that. It's creepy. It makes me uncomfortable. So stop. Or, actually, in a more modern sense, Alexas. Those freak me out, too.
Yeah, they freak me out too. Not for.
So-
That's a Big Brother thing, though. I don't know. Does that count as superstition?
Not in the traditional sense. I mean, like, maybe conspiratorially speaking, you could be superstitious in that sense. But it also creeps me out, the idea of something listening in on me. If they all fall under the same umbrella of this is welcome versus this is not, and how I react. The Chucky doll does that. I had a porcelain doll when I was a young girl, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know who gave it to me. I don't know why it was in my house, but it sat in the corner of my room at my mom's house for quite some time before I had, the sense enough to throw it out. And it was an Annabelle doll, basically. It wasn't a Raggedy Ann, but it looked like the Annabelle doll. It was a lot friendlier looking, I will say, but it was dressed up as like a prairie girl with long curly hair, porcelain face, super freaking tall. It was on a stand. It just sat there in the corner and stared at me. And like I said, it took me a while to have enough sense to chuck it, but eventually I did. And I've slept peacefully ever since. But stuff like that,
Yep.
And it makes no rational sense. But it brings me comfort. Now, that being said, I have no problem going out and looking for things elsewhere outside of my house, because my house is my sanctuary. It's my safe space. This is where I'm most comfortable. I want to be able to sleep here comfortably. But I have no problem, and I did try to do this with Balak when we went to college together. I was like, let's go to a haunted thing. Something that is allegedly haunted, because I actually want to experience some sort of supernatural thing. Because I hear all of these stories from people of experiences that they've had that are unexplainable. And I go, I've never had any of that. And personally, I would like to at least have that experience or attempt to achieve having that experience if possible. I don't know when it'll happen, if it'll happen. Shish, Google. Google's listening to me right now, actually. I don't know how that happened. But I'd like to experience that. Slightly, just once. See if it has any legitimacy. Does that make me weird?
No, but I'm going to say that no.
No? Don't do
No.
that?
Well, it's not going to happen.
You're not going to do it, or I'm not going to do it. Or it's not going to happen to me at all.
There you go.
The last one?
Yeah.
Probably not. But I would like to go to some place that is allegedly haunted. See what all the fuss is about.
You could, excuse me. You can definitely find places that are going to creep you out. That's for sure. There's lots of fucking creepy places.
Mm-hmm. Vexfer says, so you're okay with Google listening through your phone, but not Alexa on your shelf? Yeah, that has been a problem for the last couple of days. I think I accidentally turned on the listening thing for my phone, and I don't know how to turn it off yet. So I'm working on that, but it has been super annoying, because it only just started, and it is bugging me, so I have to figure out how to fix it. Brad Young says, not advocating drug use for you, Weebo. Taking acid can be a... I think you meant religious experience, but you said religious. And Daniel Fullman asks, weren't the Greek ruins haunted? They were not. I don't think. Are they? Are the Greek ruins supposed to be haunted? Like, is the Parthenon supposed to be haunted?
Well, there's somewhere's going to be. Why not there?
If they were, I didn't experience everything. Anyway. Sorry, I feel like I've been dominating the haunted conversation a little too much. So, Polly, you've never experienced any hauntings of any sort? No stitiousnesses?
No, I've been to creepy fucking places. There's no question. But
Right.
Apparitions and whatnot, no.
No, you've never experienced them? Or no,
No.
you don't believe in them?
Both.
Okay, that's fair. But what stitions do you have, super or otherwise?
I was thinking about that. I don't know. None really.
Right. Okay.
That I can think of right now.
Gotcha.
Maybe there are some that just out of habit I'm doing, and I'm just not. They're just not coming to mind.
Mm-hmm. And I guess what constitute as a superstition? Because things that people do that we allege as superstitions, right? They can have entirely practical reasons for why they exist. They're just justified on a on a superstitious level, because at one point we didn't have the faculties to understand why XYZ needed to be done, you know? Like, I'm sure there's a legitimate explanation for why people do the things that they do, having them alleged to be superstitious, but they didn't just realize it at the time. I can't come up with any examples off the top of my head, but I know it happens.
I love the Roman in the sense of first century Rome. They were very much against superstition, which is kind of funny because you think of like their system of cults, and as broad as their pantheon was, as being extremely superstitious, and they're like, no, if it's new, it's a superstition. If it's ancient, then it's a religion. That's their thinking, right? I'm like, okay. I mean, it's consistent, right? It's like, okay, that's the standard, but that you're going off of, which is why they were, so willing to burn, slaughter, and blame Christians in the second and third centuries, because like it's brand new. It's like you guys are a weirdo group, and it's like, oh, you're a cult, and it's like, no, there were cults everywhere. There were just legal and illegal ones. The legal cults are the well-known ones, right? The Jupiter and Jonah, and the list goes fucking on and on and on. But those are all ancient. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this, and Judaism as well is a legal cult, not a respected one, but it's a legal cult because its tradition is ancient.
Right.
This Christianity thing, as soon as it's separated from Judaism, is some newfangled superstition and dangerous.
Right. Mm. Oh, not what I wanted. Hang on. Wrong window capture. Ignore the background, everybody. We want this one. So I found this article. Because I do be like that sometimes. I'm gonna put that over there. And it's basically just 7 superstitions that are actually based on truth. And I thought that would be intriguing for us to explore. So saying God bless you after a sneeze. Centuries ago, saying bless you after someone sneezed wasn't just polite, it was an order given by the Pope. When a pestilence swept through Italy in the 6th century AD, Pope Gregory the Great urged healthy people to say God bless you after someone sneezed, according to Live Science. Severe sneezing was one of the first symptoms of that particular sickness, so the statement was an earnest attempt to keep the sneezing person safe and healthy. This practice has continued long into the age of hand sanitizer. So, there you go. Some stitious. Opening an umbrella indoors is bad luck. What harm could come from opening your little umbrella in the living room? Well, it looks like the modern versions of these devices are much safer than they used to be. The early versions of the modern umbrella has sharp spokes and spring triggers, making them a potential danger to people or objects in close quarters.
Really?
They could easily break something or smack your friend in the face if opened inside. So there you go.
I just caught an idea of, like, you know, one of the spines that holds it and spring loaded. You accidentally impale your friend. Oh, fuck!
Yep. Not a great time. Spilling salt is bad luck. Throughout history, most people would have tried to avoid spilling salt. Bad luck or no. Thanks in part to its uses in baking and food preservation, salt was once a highly prized and expensive resource. In fact, the world's salt and salary are related, dating back to the time when people were paid in salt, according to the Salt Institute. There's an institute for salt, Polly. Oh my god.
I love it.
Spilling it would have been like dropping money down a drain, and nobody wanted that. Okay, so there we go. Walking under a ladder is bad luck. Okay, I'm gonna guess the reason why is because the ladder could fall on you and, you know, crush you.
Wood sucked. And
back in the olden days, it would have been an OSHA violation.
Right.
Plenty of people will go out of their way to avoid walking under a ladder. This habit might date back to a medieval belief that the leaning ladder resembled the gallows, and walking under one was tempting fate. As explained by the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry. Polly, there is a Committee for Skeptical Inquiry!
I absolutely believe that there is, because, no offense to anyone, atheists have very little to do with their time except to get together with other atheists and
go, what's
so
legit,
you don't believe too?
Not?
Oh my god, I don't believe. Aren't we awesome for not believing? Oh, we're so awesome. So yeah, they get together in groups and like slap each other on the back for
right.
You know, imaginary congratulations for skepticism or something.
Institute for Salt.
Reference the Armored Skeptic's entire body of work. There you go.
Totally. Institute for Salt. That isn't Twitter, is it? You know, it might be. Ladders generally aren't the most stable structures, and a tool or the whole ladder might fall on your head if you walk under one. Plus, you'd probably make the person working on the ladder very nervous. So really, steering clear of ladders might be more about common sense than any superstitious belief. Yeah, that makes sense. Put empty bottles on the floor for good luck. I've never heard of this one.
I've never heard that before.
In Russia, it's considered bad luck to leave empty bottles on the table. This idea may date back to the early 1800s when Cossack soldiers learned that Parisian restaurants owners charged customers by the number of empty bottles left on the table. As noted in the Moscow Times, the clever soldiers began stashing their empty bottles underneath the tables and then brought the practice back to Russia. Even if the story is apocryphal, this habit does make for a neater tabletop during a night out. I agree, because, if you get into a bar fight, glass gonna be flying. Shit be breaking all over the place. Lighting 3 to a match is bad luck. Another superstition states that lighting 3 cigarettes to 1 match is bad luck. This idea may date back to World War I. If 3 soldiers smoked together, snipers could easily find them. If they used the same match to light their cigarettes, the shooters would notice that the match was still burning after the first lighting, and had enough time to load their weapons, target, and shoot the unlucky 3rd smoker. Said Harry Oliver, author of Black Cats and 4-Leaf Clovers in Learning Mind. Presumably the soldiers refrained from lighting 3 to a match once they got back home, and the superstitions spread from there. Okay. I had never heard of that one either. Sniper bait. It makes sense. It does make sense. And lastly, keep bananas off boats. Okay.
Okay, once again. All
Sailors have all kinds of nautical superstitions, and apparently it's bad luck to bring bananas on boats. There may be some truth behind this idea, though. Bananas ferment quickly, and a large shipment of them could create terrible fumes in the storage hull of a ship. According to boaterexam.com, or a species of deadly spider might hide amongst the bunches of bananas, waiting for some poor sailor to happen by, as further noted by boaterexam.com. Whatever the case, there are still plenty of boaters who won't allow this beloved fruit on board today. Wow. The more you know. Then how do bananas ship? That's my
I was about to say, like, banana boats? Come on.
Right?
Come on. That's a thing. I mean, they're the accursed ships of the modern seas.
Right.
I don't know.
There may be truth on a list of truths. Yeah, they ran out of ideas. There's probably several other superstitions we could, look into. The psychology of superstition. Medical news today. That is fun. That's fascinating to me, actually. I think I could stay up late reading about the psychology behind superstition and the practicality behind it and the reasons why things are superstitious today. Because very little of it probably has to do with someone just making bullshit up for no reason. It's probably evolved from an actual legitimate concern, but people just assume it as a habit. And then when asked, hey, why do we do this? They go, oh, because it's bad luck. Because that's the simplest answer. Because they don't want to think more in depth about the thing, you know? Or maybe they don't have time to go into a very long diatribe about why it's bad to do the thing.
Yeah.
Just thought. But that is fascinating to me. Anyway, Polly.
Yep.
We're getting close to that time.
All right.
Indeed. Do you want to go for another, 3 minutes, give or take, so we can, close out the show then?
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
I spilled. I'm out of drink anyway, so this works out. So, Polly, what have you left to chill, or what have you to chill for this week that you are doing?
AAA mostly. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This week, I don't really have a whole lot going on. I think maybe potentially a couple podcasts that were recorded earlier last week are going live on Monday, but I have to double check with the person that I podcasted with to see if that is the case. But that will be posted to the Twitter, actually, because it's not my podcast that I was on. It was someone else's podcast that I was on that I will be guesting as a guest on. So whenever it is that they give me the heads up that it's live, I will post that on my Twitter, so you guys can go and watch that if you feel so inclined. Other than that, I don't have anything presently that I'm going to be doing this week on the channel other than Cocktail Hour next Sunday, because I have doctor's appointments that conflict with when I would be doing side quest, and I also will be out of town for the Renaissance Fair this weekend, so I'm going to be massively preparing for that this week leading up to next weekend, so that'll be fun. Plus, I think Polly and I are supposed to meet at some point to watch movies.
Yes.
So that is what my week looks like. Unfortunately, not a great week for content for Weebo, but I will be writing several things, so that will be going down the pipeline sometime in the near to soon future. So never fear, ladies and gentlemen, never fear. In the meantime, you can always watch the last episode of SideQuest over on the Wicked Guild YouTube channel. Check it out. I will link it in the description, or Assassins of the Grey can link it in the description. If you so feel inclined to catch your favorite thief, Nameless, and all of her shenanigans, feel free. Yes, I will be dressing up as a pirate to go to the Ren Fair. It's going to be a great time. I'm excited. Like, it's a whole weekend's worth of shenanigans for me, so. Because I'm not just going to the Renaissance Fair, I am camping out near the Renaissance Fair, so it's going to be a good time. Excited. Titty Pirate, better name. Yeah, probably. Easier to spell. I'm still too lazy to come up with an actual name. Anyway. Polly, are we, like, unless you have anything conflicting with next week, cocktail hour, we're still good for next week?
Yes.
Same time, same place?
Definitely.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lizard people of all ages, Polly and I will be back here next week on this channel for the, not the same thing, but like a similar show where we just talk about who the fuck knows what. For an hour and a half or plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same time, next week, same place, same
Yep.
Weebo, same otter. What were you going to say, Polly?
No, I said, yeah, next week, same time.
All right, cool. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lizard people of all ages, have yourself a very great week, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Have a good night, everyone.